The Mystery of BELICENA VILLCA. Fifth Book. Epilogue, or Prologue. Chapter 7. At the 5:30 arrived two funereal cars that transported Catalina and her children. The three coffins were immediately disposed next to the ones of my parents, fact that inspired the morglings to renew with singular pathos the litanies. 15 minutes later, appeared the Commissar Maidane, the author of such incredible bureaucratic feat. "How you achieved it, Commissar?" I inquired. "Well, it was not too difficult, considering that the forensic informs were ready already, although not signed. No one likes to sign a report unprovided of diagnostic. Because that is what they had. Nothing. It means that they ignored of what your sister and nephews died. My unique merit was to convince the medics, who arrived just at the 5 hours, that I had confidential information that the case would be buried by superior order. Even thus, I had to await the respectable judge to obtain the verbal approval that would permit to the commissar to give the corpses. However, being ready the forensic reports, there was none impediment to end the formality, and the judge acceded to receive them in the morning, and signed the authorization. And here are the unfortunate relatives, doctor. And, do you know the diagnosis? Heart attack. It is foolish, because we all agree in the treats about a multiple homicide, but these medics didn't achieve to determine the cause of the death. I, instead, would have requested a profound study in the University of Saltac, but, as you were too hurried to put end to the funeral, things must remain thus. Indeed, Commissar Maidane. In that manner will remain. For the good of all, I assured. Anyhow, the killers will pay for what they have done to my parents. Of that I wanted to talk you, Signal," said Maidane euphorically, changing completely his attitude. "Excuse me, if I sin of optimism," he apologized, "but I love to gain discussions, or bets, especially when the rival is a respectable person as you. That fills me with pride," he confessed naively. "And what have you gained?" I asked, perplexed. "Perhaps, for you it is not very important, but I made you an offering before leaving," he remembered. "And I still have in mind your unusual words, suggesting absurdly that the killer would not be human." "If they were human," he said, "you would accept my help. You said it." "Stay calm, Maidane, that I am not going to contradict myself. Indeed, I didn't believe it so, although, after that I have modified my opinion, and now I am practically agree with you in that the killer would not be humans, perverse or infamous human beings." "Good, Dr. Signal. I am pleased that you have changed your opinion. Now, it will result you easiest to admit that I was right. New elements have emerged in this case, Doctor." "What elements?" "Witnesses, Dr. Signal. 2 witnesses, who saw the killers perfectly came informed, with professional tone. In this moment, they are presenting their declaration, and providing the description that will allow to reconstruct the countenances of the criminals. Once made up the identikit, thousands of them will be distributed through the whole province, and the rest of the country, and a trace operative will be initiated to detect their movements." Uncle Kurt had become livid. I, on the contrary, evaluated that those news beneficiated my plans. "Who are the witnesses?" I wanted to know. "I'll tell you with complete reserve, because the case was under the secret of the judicial summary. Were 2 janitors of the tobacco enterprise, who had to enter at the 0 hours, at 300 meters from here, and they passed in front of the palisade of the entrance almost at that hour. As they are neighborhoods, they always cover the journey accompanied, each one with a bicycle. And as almost all the dawnings, the one of yesterday seemed also tranquil, until that when they arrived here, saw a car. The car. We screamed in duet, Uncle Kurt and me. What car? Ha, 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 ironized Maidane. Are you seeing how your killers are very humans? So much that they even circulate in an imported car. Could you give us more details? I reclaimed frantically. "Be patient, doctor, and I will tell you all what I know, which is not too much." At the 11 hours with 59 minutes, or 0 hours, approximately, the two men started to roll their bicycles before this property. Very soon, they noticed that ahead circulated slowly an enormous black car. It was going slowly, as if it would be searching a determined house, and the cyclists didn't advance for mere curiosity. Thus, they continued in caravan until, at arriving to the palisade, the car turned and went out from the route, parking at the entrance. Then, they could see very well the occupants were two men of Asian aspect, dressed immaculately with black suit. Even one of them descended to open the palisade, and was clearly observed by both of them. The witnesses are retained since yesterday at noon, just that they didn't inform you about the march of the inquest. The important is that, through the monitor of the computer passed an ethnographic program, and that the janitors identified the second personage as a kind of Turk, or person natal from Middle East. What did I tell you, doctor? I was not too mistaken when I suggested you that they could be members of the Mossad. No, Bereh and Bishar were not members of the Israeli Mossad, but, undoubtedly, they could be the chiefs of that sinister intelligence service, or Jewish squadron of death. They were completely trained for that. They were, actually, natal from the Middle East, where, according to BELICENA VILLCA, were kings in ancient times. So, there are no doubts about the shape in which the high priests of Melchizedek had come to Cyrillus as human beings, wearing modern attire, and driving a luxury car. Upon receiving this news, Uncle Kurt was silent. What brand was the car? I asked. Nor model or brand. Curiously, the witnesses agreed to give a detailed description of the car, but they failed to recognize the brand. Neither they noticed if the car had a license plate. From his statements, it follows that it would be a very big car, a Cadillac or Lincoln, which, often for not being frequent in our country, they would be difficult to identify. When Maidane finished to tell me the police information that he had got in such a short time, he returned to the fray with his interest. He wanted that I reward him with equal loyalty, and tell him all I knew about the murders and the mysterious killers. Of course, I could not tell him the truth amazing moreover, and thus, I was imprisoned in a moral quandary. At the 7 hours and 5 minutes, came the commissioner of Cyrillus. He came to greet, and me to demand for Maidane, who had awakened him at the 3 of the morning. Hello Echiro. Good day Mr. Sangwaddles. How are you, Maidane? He saluted. I ignored that he was friend of Echiro. I've brought what you have asked, but as you are friends, remember that all is maintained in reserve. The judge is trying to give light in a matter that has become all so strange, and only in the morning will emit the orders that will allow us to act. Until then, the summary is secret. He gave a pocket to Maidane that he hurried to open. It contained 2 identikits of the killers, and many drawers that represented the scenes seen by witnesses. The portraitures showed 2 countenances of undoubtedly Asian aspect. Round, marked cheekbones, sparse eyebrows, eyes slightly torn, and thick lips. They were neatly shaved, and lacked, it seems, of hair. This last could be assured with certainty because, unusually, the criminals wore hats, as mushrooms, very helmeted. There are things that don't fit what are not agreed with the general patterns of the criminology, commented the commissar of Cyrillus, with contrariness. We are looking for 2 ferocious killers, author of the massacre of an inoffensive family. 2 witnesses see them, at the hour of the crime, entering in the house. There all went right, all normal. We requested then to the witnesses to describe us, the alleged evildoers. They accede, and there ends the typological normality. The case escaped to any general framing. Not even the casuistry criminology, neither the records, nor the accumulated experience, served to comprehend the fact. In principle, was suspected from the witnesses, but then, their capacity to witness was verified. two unblemished persons, who never drinks a gout of alcohol, because they perform a surveillance position, and they are also ex-policemen, that is to say, retired policemen, trained to watch facts, and accustomed to give details. But their history was too much incredible. Look that image, where the companion has descended to open the palisade, and the driver is seated at the steering wheel of the black car. What have seen the witnesses? Not two normal criminals, who are going to kill a family furtively, but two gentlemen stylishly dressed, who enters, as if they be as visiting the property of the Signals. In fact, the judge ordered that they be examined by the psychiatrists yesterday afternoon, but the report is positive. They're in perfect mental conditions. They even facilitated an interrogatory under hypnosis, that also thrown positive results. Concretely, they tell the truth. Whatever they have seen, they believe in what they say. I looked askance at the Commissar Maidane, because, from all that emerged, the wit known during the murder of BELICENA VILLCA. But he not undeterred. Evidently he also had a rational explanation for the curious attire of the agents of the Mossad. Look at this, gentlemen. Insisted the Commissar of Cerrillos, can be something more ridiculous than the killers dressed with black suit of 3 pieces, black shoes, black hat, black mushroom hat, black tie, and white shirt? Yes, I know that can exist murders like these. In Hong Kong, in Istanbul, in London, in New York, and in 1,000 more places in the world. But here, in Cerrillos, treating about another kind of people, it would be even possible to accept their presence in the zone. For example, if they be executives of a transnational enterprise, that come for business, to loot some of our raw materials. To this kind of criminals it is possible to imagine without effort. But, in the case that occupies us, they easily escape to the general pattern of the farmer killers. The Commissar consulted the watch, and said goodbye. I must leave now. See you soon, Echiro. I am really sorry about this. I'll see you this afternoon in the cemetery. Forgive me for the talk, but has been Maidane, who came to stir the wasp's net. I'd have not bothered you, until after the funeral. Naturally, the judge also wants to talk with you, and he will not delay to call you, when this tragic moment passes, naturally. The last words of the Commissar of Cerrillos caused me profound inquietude. What pretended the policeman? They murdered my family, and the interrogated would be me. Stay calm, doctor, that this is nothing, assured Maidane. Simple routine. The police is confused, and will want to know your opinion. The same occurs with the judge. Is for this reason, that he resisted to give the corpses. I could give you many hypotheses about what the Commissar told us, and that has probably happened. For example, it is almost sure that they have radiated the description of the black car, and they didn't achieve to know its whereabouts. It's a strange car, and they suppose that someone should have seen it. But they don't advance, because they investigate professionally. You and I know that, contrary to what the Commissar and the judge affirm, this is a classical case. A classical case inside the intelligence, and the international counterintelligence. Maidane was convinced of his theory, and I would have to give him an answers without dilations.